Welcome in, everybody. Ready to dive into this week's deep dive. We've got a doozy for you today, folks. We're talking about Sean Diddy Combs and all the legal stuff swirling around him.
Yeah, this one's got it all right. Accusations, lawsuits, we're even talking criminal charges here. It's a lot.
It's a lot to untangle, so I'm glad you're here to help us make sense of it all. So, where do we even start? This isn't just some overnight scandal, right? This goes way back.
It does. To really get it, I think we need to rewind a bit. Go back to November 2023. That's when Cassie Ventura, remember her?
Hmm?
She was with Diddy for years.
Yeah.
She filed that lawsuit.
Right, and that was kind of the beginning of the end, wasn't it? Like, that lawsuit really opened Pandora's box.
It really did. I mean, her allegations were explosive. We're talking physical abuse, controlling behavior, and then there were these things she called freak-offs. Let's just say they were not pretty.
Yeah, and this is all happening as the New York Adult Survivors Act comes into play. Didn't that have a big impact on how this whole thing unfolded?
Huge impact. Think about it. You experienced something traumatic maybe years ago. You might think it's too late or that no one would believe you, right? This act basically created a window, a legal window, where people could come forward with these types of claims no matter how much time had passed.
So it gave people a voice who might have felt silenced before.
Exactly. And we saw that happen in a big way with the Diddy case.
So you've got Cassie Ventura's lawsuit, which, by the way, was settled out of court.
Important to note, settled out of court with Diddy still saying he didn't do anything wrong, maintaining his innocence.
Right, of course, of course. But it was like that settlement was a signal to others, you know what I mean? Because right after that, more women started coming forward. November, December 23, at least 3 more lawsuits pop up, some of these accusations going back to the 90s. Suddenly, Diddy's facing multiple allegations of sexual assault.
And these weren't just vague claims either. We're talking detailed accounts, women alleging drugging, assault. There were even claims that he filmed some of these incidents. And the fact that you had these consistent stories from different women across different years, it really started to paint a disturbing picture.
Like a pattern, right? It's not just one isolated incident anymore.
Exactly. And you've got to remember, this entire time, Diddy is denying everything. In fact, he even went on Instagram, called it a money grab, said he was being targeted.
Which, I mean, to be fair, he has every right to do, right? Innocent until proven guilty, that's how it works. But then, just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, December 2023 hits and things take an even darker turn. This Jane Doe files a lawsuit, and she's saying she was sex trafficked, even gang raped back in 2003, and she's naming Diddy, Harv Pierre, he was running Bad Boy Records back then, and another guy. This isn't just about someone acting out. This is organized, potentially.
Exactly. It really changes the scope. And remember, through all this, Diddy's lawyers are out there saying he's totally innocent, that this is all about money.
Right, which again, fair enough. It's got to hear both sides. But then 2024 gets going, and it seems like every other week there's a new headline about this. Rodney Jones Jr., he was a producer on Diddy's The Love album. He files a suit too, right?
February of 24, yeah. And Jones's lawsuit, it went even further. He claimed sexual assault, but then he also said that Diddy pressured him into sex with another man.
And he even said this was, like, normal in the music industry. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it was a really disturbing detail.
Yeah.
And then, as if things couldn't get any weirder, May 2024 rolls around, and TMZ gets their hands on that security footage.
Oh, man, that video, that was rough. Everybody saw Diddy getting physical with Cassie Ventura back in 2016 in that hotel,
Yeah.
shoving, kicking. Diddy did apologize afterward, said he was disgusted with himself, but seeing that footage, it just made everything feel so much more real.
It definitely added fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
This wasn't just talk anymore. This was visual evidence of Diddy being violent towards a woman he was involved with.
And it seemed like that gave even more people the courage to come forward. You had Crystal McKinney, the model, saying Diddy drugged and assaulted her back in '03. And then there was April Lampros claiming years of sexual abuse going all the way back to the 90s. Just crazy accusations. And then July 2024, it just kept snowballing. Adria English, she's an adult film star, she files a lawsuit alleging she was groomed into sex trafficking at Diddy's parties between 2004 and 2009.
And that's when the narrative started to shift. You know, before it was like individual incidents, but you put it all together, the parties, the drugs, these freak-offs. Cassie Ventura talked about it starts to look like a pattern, like maybe there was a system to all of this.
Let's talk about those freak-offs for a second, because that's where things go from bad to just creepy. What exactly were we talking about there?
So imagine this. Organized gatherings, almost like rituals, with drugs, sex workers, According to some accusations, there were even IVs on hand to help people recover afterwards. This wasn't just some party that got out of control. Some of these descriptions sounded like something out of a movie, like a calculated operation.
And that takes us to September 2024, right, when this whole thing exploded.
That's when everything changed. Diddy was arrested. And we're not talking about one charge, one incident. He was hit with a whole laundry list of them. Sex trafficking, racketeering, transporting women for prostitution, kidnapping, forced labor, even bribery. They were saying he was running a criminal enterprise, basically.
It was huge news. I mean, we'd been following the lawsuits, but this was different. It meant that authorities were taking these accusations seriously.
Absolutely. And through it all, Diddy's still saying he's innocent. His lawyers are out there saying these women are lying, trying to get rich off him.
Which, again, he has every right to mount a defense. But then, just a few weeks later, man, this case just wouldn't quit. Over 100 new accusers come forward. Over 100. I mean, wow, that's a lot.
It was a bombshell, to say the least. And it wasn't just women either. Some men came forward too, alleging abuse, even saying it happened when they were underage.
I mean, you've got to be kidding me. That just adds a whole other layer of seriousness to this whole thing.
No kidding. And some of the specifics from these new accusations, they were really disturbing. There was one lawsuit that claimed Diddy assaulted a woman because she suggested he might have been involved with Tupac's murder.
Whoa, okay, so now we're going way back. Like, that's a whole other rabbit hole.
It is, and it just goes to show this case just keeps getting more and more complex.
So where do we go from here? What's next in all of this?
Well, the trial, it was supposed to start next May, but with all these new accusations, it's anybody's guess when that'll actually happen. It's going to take a while to go through everything.
Right. It's overwhelming to even think about. It makes you wonder about, like, the nature of power, you know?
No doubt. It makes you think about how easily someone with money and fame can silence people, how hard it can be to hold them accountable. It's a lot bigger than just Diddy, you know what I mean?
Totally. This whole thing, it just makes you wonder what would make someone at the top, someone with it all, risk everything like this. It's baffling.
It really is. We may never know the full story, but one thing's for sure, this story's not over yet.
Not by a long shot. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but wow, what a deep dive this has been, right? To everyone listening, thanks for joining us as we try to unravel this thing. It's messy, it's complicated, but it's important. Until next time, keep those thinking caps on, folks.